Hi again, my name's Mary Jane, or MJ if you prefer something shorter, and I'm a normal Aussie mum of 3 school-aged kids, and I'm making a series of short videos to help people like me come to terms with the idea that Australia might not be being ruled or run by people who have our best interests at heart. But most importantly, what we can do simply to make a change about that. So I finished my first video with asking you to have a think about what in your daily life right now you would like to change. If you didn't see that, have a think about it now. It could be as simple as making the paperwork that the government spews at us all, whether it's to do with schools or business or life in general, making that simpler and cheaper, or better still, free and non-existent. Or it could be something else. For me, it was simply that I would be able to visit my aged mother in her aged care facility without compromising my own health, and my first video talks about that. So I don't know if you have ever written or spoken to your elected representatives about making a change that you would like to see, about something that you thought was wrong or wasn't working properly. If you haven't, my first video explains my experience, and quite simply that I was laughed at and told point blank that my concerns would not be considered. And it wasn't just me, there were tens of thousands of other Australians around the country experiencing the same response at the same time. So, if you are beginning to feel that something is not quite right and that you're not being listened to by your government, welcome to this safe space. You're not alone and you're not crazy. But before you go down any rabbit holes or up into the stratosphere, I want you to promise me 2 things. First, please keep breathing and go out into nature whenever you can. Go and sit in some grass, hug a tree, talk to some kangaroos. Nature is a real friend. It will really help you, and breathing is good and smiling is good. You may find out some disturbing things, and you will probably want to run away and put your head under a pillow. You might even cry for a few days or a few weeks. The technical term for this is cognitive dissonance. It will pass. Be kind to yourself, reach out and ask other people like me for help if you need it. Now, second, I want you to promise me, except for this one thing that I will talk about in a minute, if you do go down any rabbit holes or up into space, please don't talk to anybody about anything just yet. You may get excited and want to tell everybody everything immediately. Just saying, you'll sound like a crazy person. The aim of what we are trying to do is to get as many people, like you and me, to see what has been happening for a long time, to see it, to stand up and say no more. So, do we have a deal? I'm going to assume you said yes. So, moving on. So if you, like me, have a sense that something is not quite right with the way we as normal Australians are being treated by our governments, our laws, our judges and other leaders, let me show you why that might be. I assume you know about the Woods Royal Commission into child sexual abuse in 2015. It was a long time coming, and as a normal member of the public, I was horrified by what was uncovered and proven. And I also assumed that it was a positive step and that the outcome was overall positive. That was until 6 months ago when I saw a speech that Senator Bill Heffernan gave in Parliament on the 20th of October 2015. And I'll put a link to the full video, or a video below, and I'll summarise right now what he said. He said there are police documents with a list of 28 alleged pedophiles at senior levels, including judges and a former Australian Prime Minister. Let that sink in. It gets worse. Keep breathing. Every Attorney General since Ruddock has seen at least some of these documents and done nothing. And when Senator Heffernan presented these documents, the Commissioner said, and I will quote, "We've decided not to revisit these issues because the public would lose confidence in its judiciary." And finally, if that wasn't bad enough, they slapped a 90-year suppression order on the list, so no one can see it. Oh, sorry. No, it does get worse. Did you see anything about that in the mainstream media? I don't think I did. You would think that some mainstream media journalists would be jumping up and down demanding that this list or the suppression order be lifted and that this list be investigated. Wouldn't you think? Well, that didn't happen. So what does that tell you about our mainstream media? And do you still trust what they're telling you now? You and I know that pedophilia is wrong, and that pedophiles, at the very least, should not be in positions of power and influence. And they should definitely not be sitting as judges in courts, like the Family Law Court, making rulings about what happens to our children. Right, now, to some good news. 3 days ago, on the 10th of November, a federal member of Parliament, Andrew Wilkie, tabled a parliamentary petition with nearly 9,000 signatures of normal Australians demanding the suppression orders be lifted and investigated. Now, you may have missed signing the petition, but it's not too late to make a difference. Can I ask you to find half an hour this week to send emails to your federal elected representatives, members of Parliament and senators? It's not hard. There will be a template for the email below, and there will be a link to where you can find the names and emails of your elected representatives, members of Parliament and senators. Now, if you want to go crazy, you can extend that and do all your state representatives and even local council representatives, because frankly, the more people that see this, the better. So that's it. Half an hour of your time this week to tell your government that it is not okay and this needs to be investigated. Because if you think that your government is allowing pedophiles to sit, even alleged pedophiles, to sit as judges in courts ruling over what happens to your children is okay, then do you think that your government really cares about any other aspect of your life? So like you, my aim is simple: to make Australia fair again for hard-working, kind-hearted, normal Australians like you and me. Because right now, as you've just seen, the people running this country are not, and they do not have your best interests at heart. In my next video, I'll share another simple 5-minute action, I promise, that could help remove the corrupt government that exists so that we can get our Australia back for all Australians. See you next time.